I think that's a great idea. Yeah, you can keep whatever you make, but if you make too much, you have to contribute that to the district budget.
Yeah, I don't really have any.
I mean, I don't. I bet you know why you have some of those like function, everybody have one.
Well, I don't really care what happened, try, and then make fun of me.
She don't make her fun.
Oh my lord, she's trying to be helpful.
Do you go down to?
Yeah, oh yeah, you talked about that, yeah.
We've been in seasons and now.
Reference onto buildings and stuff. And grass mowing and all that.
So don't say words like.
Some communities have.
We're live. They can't hear me, right?
If the building remains empty.
Stop at that microphone.
Okay, restart. Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll. Mr. New Treasurer, here. Mr. Kelly.
I'm here.
Ms. Ballard.
Present.
Mr. Gibson. Mr. Grubb.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Kelly, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have anybody signed up for public comments, so take it away, Alex.
Good evening. Welcome to, again, tonight's live broadcast of the Streetsboro Board of Education meeting. I am Alex Antonsic. Tonight's meeting being held in the middle school, not Denver. Back over to you, Mr. Bill.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes from July as submitted.
I'll move.
I'll second.
First and a second. Any comments? Please call the roll. Mr. Grubb. Yes. Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Violi. Yes. Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Motion carried. Reports. Moving on to superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Honorable President Violi. I do have a couple items. First, I'm very excited, and I will use the word proud to present the final, and I'll use the word draft, final draft of the strategic plan. A lot of work went into this. A lot of work happened in the spring, and a lot of work happened over the summer, and so we have finalized it. So I'm here to present that. So Andreas, if you could put not the summary, but the regular version up, please. So, and I included it down your computer so you don't have to try and squint if you don't want to try and look up at the screen. So what you see, this document actually can be, that was interesting. I got to sign in. This document, here, give me 1 second here. You guys are probably able to sign
It wants us to sign in also.
For those of you who are listening to the broadcast, we are all signing into our computers so that we can view the strategic plan on our computers as well as on the screen. So once you sign in, board, you can see we have tabs along the bottom. So this is actually how it'll be configured electronically. We'll probably, when we go live and publish this particular document, as you see it, will be as one continual document. It's not going to be tabled, so it'll be one continual PDF. So there's the cover, obviously. Then you go to the names. These were the final action committees that put the bulk of the work in. Denise needs some help. I thought Denise needed some help.
No, I
We can't log in.
can't log in. either that or I've forgotten my
It
password.
told me I need to request permission, so I requested permission. So I'm good right now.
So if you look up at the screen,
There you go.
there are the names, and that will be, the format's very similar to our last strategic plan. So we have the title, and then we have the names on that page. The next tab, this is our vision, our mission statement, our beliefs. One of my goals this year at every board meeting, I will be referring to one of these beliefs, the mission statement or the vision statement, throughout our presentations. And I'm actually holding all of our administrators accountable for using the mission statement, the beliefs, and the vision as a part of all their communications with staff. Okay, so there they are. Hitting the next tab. Now here is the meat of our strategic plan, and we have 7 goals. Again, these 7 goals were, you guys were a part of that original meeting where we began drafting goals. These are the final goals that we came up with, action steps. I'm not going to read through every single one of these, but I am going to go through it really quickly. So the only thing that's missing on this document that needs to be filled in are some timelines, and I'm working on some timelines. My goal will be to have you approve this at the September board meeting. So it'll be in place for the September board meeting. So goal number 1, and these goals are not in any order of importance. They're presented as is. So just because goal number 1 is, the Streetsboro will develop a plan to promote diversity and cultural understanding for all staff, students, parents, and Streetsboro community. That doesn't mean it's the most important goal. All these goals are just as important as the others. So that's our goal number 1. And you can see some of our action steps and who's responsible for those. Doing a poverty simulation, implementing professional development plan. And this goal, the way this club advisors create cultural clubs, this goal was born from, if you remember, we had several members at our first meeting, and Mr. Hogue was a big part of that discussion. The city of Streetsboro, the community of Streetsboro, is becoming significantly more diverse, as you all know. And so we really felt it was time to acknowledge that diversity and to celebrate it, and that's why it's in the strategic plan. So you can see the action steps. Goal number 2, by the end of the 18-19 school years, that's this school year, the Streetsboro City Schools will develop a comprehensive staff employment process in order to provide quality staff to serve the students in the community. So we have a hiring process that's in place, but again, as a group, we really felt that we needed to revamp that in order to help guarantee that we are interviewing and ultimately selecting the best staff for this district, and that's all staff. That's just not teachers, not administrators. That's bus drivers, that's custodians, that's aides, cafeteria workers. It's everybody. So we're going to work on that, and I am the person that's primarily responsible for that portion. Goal number 3, by the end of the 18-19 school year, the Streetsboro City School District will develop a comprehensive staff development process in order to provide quality staff development for all staff. This staff, again, this is something that Ariane and Joe have worked really hard working with our associations on, providing quality staff development. You guys already know about the letters grant that we've been involved in with now for a year through the ODE. But we really felt like we needed to create a comprehensive staff development process that involved all staff so that they're part of that, part of developing and identifying the type of staff development. So we're going to form a PD committee, and this is going to be driven by our strategic plan, by our mission, our vision, and our beliefs. And so you can see the different areas there, the different action steps. It's going to be primarily the administrative team, but probably Ariane is going to have a big part of that as well. Goal number 4, by January 1st, 2019, the Streetsboro City School District will have developed a comprehensive parent and community engagement and empowerment plan. And again, this was born from the fact that we have a belief that we're not involving our community enough and our parents enough in what we do. So it was through my meetings with the Cuyahoga County ESC, it was suggested that in order to make this committee, what's the word I want to look for, really valid, to give it credibility, the suggestion was made, and I like the idea that this committee is actually led by an outside person. So someone from the Cuyahoga County ESC will facilitate this committee, so that you're truly garnering input from your community members to a third party. So that's why you see this as and then they're going to develop what that committee will ultimately develop what this goal looks like. Goal 5, the Streetsboro Streetsboro City School District will develop an annual budget that is directly linked to the strategic plan goals, mission, and vision of the school district beginning July 1st, 2019. And actually, that should be July that would be our next budget year. So that's probably because we're already in a budget year. But, I will tell you that one of the things I made very clear to our administrative team yesterday is from this point forward, financial decisions are going to have to be made under the strategic plan, mission, vision, and guiding principles and beliefs. And I told principals that we'll have more direction on this, but essentially, if someone wants to participate in staff development, they're going to have to show us where it fits into the strategic plan, and then they're going to have to come back and report on that. And I'm not saying that we have staff going to arbitrary staff development, but it needs to be more focused. So any type of staff development, if we're going to pay for that, it's going to have to line up. And CJ is very committed to this. He was a big part of this goal, developing this goal, and making sure that our mission, vision, and goals align, are fiscally responsible and align to strategic plan. And then goal 6, by June 30, 2019, Streetsboro City School District will develop a comprehensive model communication plan to provide pertinent educational information to all internal and external stakeholders. And again, I think all of you heard loud and clear that one of the areas, and if you remember, I did the thumb down at our initial meeting, one of the areas I feel like that we did not do a good job with, and we always have room for improvement, is communication. So that's what the school is aimed at, a communication plan. And you can see the different goals and objectives. You see more action steps in this than in any other of the goals. And you can read down through them, but this is going to be primarily driven by myself and by Andreas. And the first step in all this, I think you've seen with our new webpage, and we're really trying to make our webpage more focused, easy to find things to communicate what we want to communicate. If you remember the last webpage or the old webpage, you could look at it, and there were literally probably 50 choices on the front page. And so, I would have people call me all the time and say, "Where do you find the board policies?" And I'd say, "Well, it's right there. Hold on, I can't. I'd look at it 50 times. It's right there on the left. I don't see it. Count down. Oh, I find it." So that's one of our. That's a very simple example of what we're trying to do. Our web page we're trying to revamp our web page, and we're going to redo everything we do as far as communications. And I'm going to show you something here in a minute that will help with that. But I think that we need to consider some sort of professional newsletter, whether it's mailed out to everybody. We need to consider some sort of professional publication that we can house at the realty board when people are looking at Streetsboro, maybe a city hall and all of our lobbies of our buildings at the board office. I'm not necessarily suggesting that we do mailings; those are very expensive, but that might be a result of this committee. This committee might want to do a mailing once a year. So we're going to really take a hard look at how we communicate the great things we're doing. I'm going to stop there before I go on to the last goal. And one of the ideas was we budgeted a certain amount of money to this process, and part of the budget was to create a publication of our strategic plan. And typically people go to web pages to see a strategic plan, and we'll have ours in the strategic plan. But what I would like to do, this is one that we found from independent schools, and it encompasses the strategic plan along with pictures in it, in a nice booklet format. So I'm going to pass this down for you. I believe that we could replicate ours into this and do the same thing, and you'll see how nice and professional this is. And it fits within the budget that we made. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that down. And after you guys all have a quick chance to look at it, I would like some feedback, but I'd like to move forward with something like that when we're done. And then finally, goal number 7, by June 30th, 2023, the Streetsboro City Schools will create a system of personalized learning for all students. This particular goal, I'm excited about all of them, but I'm particularly excited about this one because, I believe that we strive to personalize education. You'll see that in our goals, mission, and vision. But how do we do that? How do we personalize an education for every individual kid? Well, we do that pretty well for kids that are on IEPs, and we do a good job for kids that are gifted that are on, is it WEPs or WAPs? I always get those WEPs. And we do a decent job with students that are on 504 plans. But what about the 83% of our other students? How do we personalize their education? We give them a report card. We give them an inner report. Is that personalizing their education? I don't think that it is. So I'm excited about this because there are a lot of learning management systems out there that we can identify, purchase, and integrate in what we do, where we can track student data. We can drill down to my kid exactly how they're scoring on formative assessments and how that's driving their instruction. So I'm really excited about this piece. There will be a financial commitment to that. They're not cheap, but they're also not outlandishly expensive. And there's some really good research-based ones out there that other districts around us are using. So we're going to really begin working, and I'm hoping by the end of this school year, you'll see that as one of the action steps, that we've identified that learning management system, and then we'll begin rolling out training for all of our staff. So we could do a good job with 15 to 18% of our kids on individualizing their education. We can do a better job of personalizing education for the 80+% of the other ones. So that's why I'm personally really excited about that goal more than any other, because it really nails student achievement. So I know I did a really quick read through that. I'm going to have Andres throw the summary up really quick. What I like about the summary, it's a one-page one. A lot of times people don't really want to read through all those action steps. So I was really impressed with how this came out. It very quickly shows our vision, our mission, what we believe, and then it has our 7 goals, and it's all on one paper. So people can see what we're about in a quick snapshot. And what we would do is we would plan to house this very easily to be very accessible on all of our web pages. We'll of course have the other one available as well. But the goal of the strategic plan will be not just a document that we create and put on the shelf, but we're going to involve a lot of people in the implementation of the strategic plan. So I've talked a lot. I would like to have some feedback from all of you, but there are a few dates that need changed, a couple wording issues that I picked up even as I was reading it to you. So we can wordsmith a little bit, but I would like your feedback on the strategic plan as presented, because I would like to clean it up a little bit, but I would like to, and of course I will send the cleaned up version to you prior to the next board meeting, but I would like to approve this at our next board meeting. So Denise, I know that you took some time to read through it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like it. I think I always think strategic plans are a place to start, because once you get into them, you realize that things may need to be massaged or changed. One of the things that I would ask is, how are you going to keep the board abreast of what's happening with the strategic plan so that it doesn't sit on the shelf? I mean, will we have monthly, quarterly, semi-annual updates? What will that look like?
So I would actually ask you what you guys would like, because what I want to do is I want to highlight something from our strategic plan at every board meeting, whether it's, I just casually mentioned, this is how we're partnering with families. So that needs to become part of our common talk with all of us. I don't know that we want necessarily a monthly update on everything. We could do a quarterly, we could do a state of the schools, maybe semi-annually at the middle of the year, at the end of the year. But I would ask the board, and you don't necessarily have to answer this right now, maybe you can think about it, but how would you guys like to receive updates? I can do as much or as little as you want. I guess I would say that I wouldn't necessarily want to do a comprehensive review every month, but I think quarterly, we can do it semi-annually, whatever you guys want. So what do you think?
I think quarterly would be fine, and not like necessarily a comprehensive, but what have you accomplished, instead of going over the whole plan, like what have you accomplished since January 1st through March 31st, just like highlights of this is goal 1 and these are the things that we've accomplished or we're working on, or this is the status of these couple of things.
Yeah, because we're not going to be attacking every single action item every month, so maybe giving you an update as committees meet, as people meet on the different action items and the progress we're making.
Yeah.
Would you envision that being a document that you would send to us, and not, I mean, that would be shared with us, but would it be something that would be put on the website to share with the public?
I would probably hesitate putting anything on the website until it was a completed item.
I was kind of envisioning something where you just kind of give us like an update at the meeting, just kind of come in, and it doesn't have to be like I don't want to add more, paperwork for you to do, but just kind of like here.
So I could probably, because I can take this document and I can copy and paste. So I could, let's say we really worked on let's say we really worked on survey parents, staff, and students with what is needed, one, as far as like a comprehensive personalized learning plan. So I could share the survey questions as we develop them, and I could share the survey results when we get them back. Different things like that. So as we complete things, I can create bullet point lists for you.
Yeah.
And then go over them at the board meetings.
Just so
And not take a ton of time, but take 10 or 15 minutes. Or if we do a quarterly, it could even be more of a comprehensive. We could take 20, 30 minutes and I can give you a quarterly
Do
update.
it quarterly and do it as one of your presentations.
Especially if you've been monthly having somebody come up and talk about one point of the plan, the quarterly can just be a brief kind of.
I would say quarterly is totally fine, but I wouldn't be tied to it, Mike, if there's something that you think is important to bring up because it is relevant to the progress of the plan, then you can bring it up when you want to, but I think.
You might have like a promising practice or something that you can follow up as part of the strategic plan process. I mean, I agree with John on that.
And you could even consider somebody coming up and talking about something happening in the room or something new. You can consider that part of the strategic plan update. It's really not, I wouldn't be tied to that.
We're going to roll out a new concept next month. We're no longer going to do a promising practice, and I'm not going to say any more than that. But Ariane, I like the idea. I think that, I don't know, one of these board members just said, whenever we have our presentation, that maybe that person or persons that are doing that, link it back to a portion of the strategic plan.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Sorry, I didn't give credit to whoever said that. I couldn't hear.
John.
Okay, John.
Good job, John.
I come up with that good idea.
You get a gold star.
You got to drink him a Dr. Pepper.
Give him another bottle of water.
Mike, I never know where your mouth has been.
Are you recording all this?
Let me remind you
fine.
that it's
We're
live
live
and recorded.
Okay.
I didn't say a swear word. So
Okay. And radio,
We do like to have fun.
all the channels.
Is having fun in the strategic plan anywhere, Mike?
It is. That's the first
So
goal.
we've already started the strategic plan, right?
School should be fun.
Denise?
No, I was just going to say, we can talk about this later at another date, but, as we move into this, and we've talked about our evaluations for you and the treasurer, that perhaps part of that process should be linking it to the strategic plan.
I think that's a great idea. Especially the treasurers.
What I will say is that if you look at the timelines in the strategic plan goals, the only timelines that are complete are the ones for finance. Wow, throwing that out there.
What are you trying to say there?
Actually, Denise, your idea about linking evaluation, I think that I'm actually going to even link my administrators and directors' evaluations back to the
Whoa.
strategic plan.
I just think it was
Slow things down. Yeah, slow things down there. Let's talk about this.
That's a great idea. I'm writing it down.
You just play the video back tomorrow.
Edit
I
it
just
out.
think it's helpful because, like, I've been on other strategic planning committees, and it always gets brought up, it's, strategic plans like dust. And I think whatever we can do to integrate it into the regular functioning, the school district will keep it top of mind.
Right, absolutely.
It's not to be like, oh, it says in your goals you were supposed to do this and didn't happen. It's just to keep it, hey, this is what we're about, this is what we said we're about, and,
So to emphasize your point, when we met with the administrative team the first time before we did our community rollout, what was ironic in this, let me frame it before I say what I'm going to say. Our entire current administrative team, minus Darlene, nobody was on board when that original strategic plan was developed, okay? I was here though. I was here, and then it was Darlene and everyone else. So when our facilitator came in and said, and started asking questions about the strategic plan and the mission, the vision, the beliefs, crickets. So one of the things that we were excited about as an administrative team is that they facilitated these groups. They drove home the goals and the action steps that they wanted. They personalized it, and I told them yesterday during our administrative retreat that not only do I want them to make this part of their daily or their weekly newsletters with their staff, that they need to integrate this into their staff meetings, but we're going to make this a part of every one of our administrative staff meetings. So this is not going to go to the shelf and get dusty.
And I think something like this will be helpful, like should an administrator leave and a new one come in, you've got something that you can hand to them and say, this is what we're working through and you need to be abreast of this. And so it doesn't get lost when we don't lose that legacy knowledge, or it's always there.
And I think that this strategic plan is doable. And what I mean by that is if I'm not here tomorrow, or Ariane's not here tomorrow, or some of you maybe aren't here tomorrow or in 2 years, this plan is going to live on because it's a doable plan and we had enough people that bought into it and did it. So that's something I'm excited about as well. What do you guys think of the brochure?
I didn't look through the whole thing.
I think it's a great idea.
Concept.
Excellent idea.
I like it. I like the paper that it's on.
I like the pictures.
It's not too big. I think if we go something like that, you may already have a printer in mind. There's a place in town that does printing, and just give it a shot and see if we get it.
So we've got a price to have it professionally typeset, and that would be through the ESC. That's actually someone on staff that can professionally typeset it. So they'll come out and they'll take some pictures. They already have the content. I'll give them the green light to frame something and put it together. But we believe for a minimal cost, we can print like 500 of them, which I think that's all we would really need. You give some to the Realty Board, the Chamber of Commerce, City Hall, and get these out there.
Just as well, not really an aside, but this one-page summary, next year, the calendar that PASS does would be a good place, the community calendar that gets distributed would be a good place to, if there's space for it, and if they're amenable to that idea, it would be great to have that strategic plan put in that calendar, which goes out all over Streetsboro.
Great, that one page condensed version would be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's the.
We're going to do business cards for all the administrators too that are going to encompass our vision statement. Again, making that part of our talk.
Not sure that that it could be done, but you might want to check with Maplewood to see if they can print it as well.
Right, did you think of that?
Yeah.
Good idea, Brian.
Brian gets the gold star.
If
Man,
you
you're
want.
putting the pressure on the rest of us.
They have a class there that teaches that. So, but I'm not sure if they do the photos or anything. So
I'm sure they can.
Yeah, something that, and I'm glad that Kevin brought this up, because something that when I was talking to Russ Bennett at the County EC, when I said that when we do a brochure, I want it to be on glossy paper. I want it to be a professional looking publication, not just regular printer paper that's maybe bound in the middle and out there. I wanted it to be a professional document. And I think that this achieves that. So I'm seeing the head nod. So I think that so what we'll do is I won't obviously print anything, but I'm going to go ahead and have them begin working on a typeset version of this specific to Streetsboro. I'm going to clean up some phrases in here that I noticed as I was reading to make it consistent among the goals. Denise gave me some ideas too on some wording. What I would ask is if any of you would like to provide some more feedback, email me, text me, call me if there's, I don't want to change anything, but if there are words or ways to make an emphasis better, please let me know. If there's something that you can't live with and you're not really wanting to say that right now, then you need to let me know soon so that we can work on it again, okay? And I want this board to be comfortable with it as it is too. So if you read through this tonight or this weekend or whenever, and you're saying, you know what, I just can't live with that item, then I need to know that, because I need all 5 of you to say that you agree with the strategic plan, believe this, and think that we can do it. I want the buy-in from all 5 of you. So my feelings won't get hurt if someone calls me and says, Mike, this sentence doesn't make any sense to me. Can you explain it to me? And after I explain it to you, you still don't like it, then maybe we need to work on the wording a little bit. I'm not married to this. I'm proud of where we've gotten to, but I'm not necessarily married to it.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is just maybe get another set of eyes who's a good proofreader, because you can look at something 1,000 times and you read what you think is there. And there's nothing worse, especially as an education organization to put something out that's got a typo in it, a misspelled word or something. So that would be my only thing that I would mention. Make sure it gets proofed really well.
Comment, Mike, I have, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to reach an audience in almost any business anymore. And I would consider this no different than a business making a communication or putting an advertisement out. But we need to talk about like omni-channel. We have a TV station that broadcasts on channel 16. Something like that could be posted on there. And you need to kind of tie them all together. So you have something on TV, you show those publications in the different areas, and part of that little commercial or whatever you're doing on TV, that you can get these documents at the administration office or all the buildings or wherever. But you got to kind of tie it all together and promote your documents or your omni-channel as well whenever you're doing it.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm even thinking maybe in the football stadium, as people are coming in, throwing the strategic plan, or at least like the mission, the vision, up on the video board. Maybe having our announcer at the football game, even, oh, you're not doing that this year, Bob? Okay. I mean, even working that into parts of it, I don't know how we would do that, I have to talk to Bob, but even somehow bring our games, even talking about, mentioning our vision, our mission statement, or mentioning our different beliefs. I don't know. There'd be great ways to do it.
A step further, I mean, if we have the funds, it doesn't have to be real expensive. I think that the vision and the mission statement should be in the office of every building, as well as the board office. It can be however you can do it so it doesn't look, tacky, but it draws the attention, but so when somebody walks into any one of our school offices or the board office, they know what we're about through our mission statement and our vision.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that is. I like that.
Gold star.
I got mine.
That's 3 gold stars today.
Yeah.
And our website, of course, you can put it on there, Mike. That's pretty simple.
I know the guy that created the website, I think.
Yeah, so we'll try and get there and do it. And you can send out a blast, hey, to all the parents, and if you want to view our strategic plan, it's on the website. That's,
What would be a good time to do it? Like at the beginning of school year. So you welcome all you back, and I just want to remind you that the mission of Streetsboro City School is, and our vision is, happy to see you on the first day of school, something like that.
our strategic plan is on our website.
If you'd like learn more about our strategic plan, please visit us online at.
Any questions, call Brian Bailey.
Call our board president, Brian Violi, at 330.
626 426
626-4900.
Okay, anything else, you guys?
That was good, Mike.
No, it's a good job. I know a lot of work went into that, so thank you. I mean, I feel encouraged that, we accomplished a lot, I think, from a previous strategic plan, but I think it was because we were moving forward. But this is, I think, a guide that will stay in front of us and really guide the district.
All right, you guys.
Good.
So the next report on this will be what?
September board meeting, we'll have a final document for you to vote on. I'll have it cleaned up, and I will get that to you prior to the meeting, so you have a chance to read through it. Now, I would ask that, I know you guys are all very busy, but I would ask if you guys, now that we've talked about it, to kind of go back into your refreshing your mind. I want you guys to go back and read this again and email me. Like I said, if there's something you can't live with, then please call me.
Okay.
But Denise typed up a nice document of some different wordsmithing ideas that I think are good, and if you guys have some suggestions, throw them my way. If I don't necessarily agree or like, we'll discuss it.
Yeah,
If you guys see
and
that,
I just wanted the other board members to see that. Like I said, I'm not married to that. I was just reading the legalese statements, and they weren't really couched as, in my opinion, as beliefs. And that was from the previous strategic plan. And I tried to kind of like what we believe without changing the intent or the whatever the statement. But like I said, that's why we have a superintendent. It's his job to do the final document. So what you present is what you present.
thank you. you know, and you guys all have different experiences and backgrounds, and you know, I know Denise did a lot of public relations and media, so again, she looked through that with a different lens, and Brian, you look at it through a different lens, as Andy, you know, Kevin and John, you guys are all looking at it differently, so I appreciate the feedback. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna move on to my second item. I don't have any plans this year. I did email those out. I did, in the June board meeting, I showed you guys plans and costs to basically, rather than renovating the current old middle school, it would be more cost effective to add an addition on. And through that discussion, the board suggested let's explore adding even more space onto it. Because the original design was I did it with the intent of getting just what we need, you know, and trying to keep the price down because we are under budget in our building project, and we have PI dollars that can cover that. Not operating dollars. These are PI dollars that are made. PI dollars are passed and used for building. One of the primary purposes is building an improvement of facilities. Okay, so when we did that, I was actually I got it back from F&D Architects, and I had them add several different things onto the original, like an extra office space, a restroom, and extra storage. And for what little bit they added on, the price came in at about almost $200,000 more to do that. So our original price was right around $393 to do what the original plans were. To add just a restroom, an additional office space, and a storage room, and some additional parking, it came in at $581,836. So I hope this was okay, but I did give our architects direction to stick with the original plan, and we're going to move forward with having some civil engineers on site. I did want to talk about with you, but for what little we added for the elevation and price, I just didn't think it was the bang for the buck. What do you guys think? I did
Did they say why? I mean, it didn't seem.
Well,
it was just one additional office on the end there, wasn't it?
Well, it was an additional office, and it was also a large storage room, so basically the size of another office across from it, and an additional restroom. So you're talking additional HVAC. I think it changed the HVAC, which was a big part of it. And then adding to the parking lot, you're talking about site grade and drainage. And so I think because that was the other big cost.
How much was the additional parking space? Just curious.
Give me a second.
Problem is, you got to go through a building process that's approved by the state, and you can't just go out and say to a contractor, "Hey, build this thing for me." Why not? So
I don't have that specific breakdown, but I can hand you the paperwork on the original quote versus the secondary quote if you want to take a look at that. I wasn't prepared to answer. I apologize, but I know the big dollars were the additional parking because of the site work, and then HVAC by adding that additional square footage was going to change the HVAC blueprint. So I think the original plan I liked. I was excited about it. It gave us enough space.
Can we back up a second? How many? I can't remember. Are we adding addition? Is the parking lot getting bigger from our?
No, the original plan, here it is right here. The original plan left the parking lot the way it is.
Okay.
It would be repaved. The library parking lot is never used, never filled. So we really felt, and there's a walkway between the library parking lot and ours. So we really felt like the parking was okay, the way it is.
Yeah, you're right. That's fine. I forgot about that.
I like the first plan.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I was kind of shell shocked when I saw the price difference, and when I called Tim, the architect, he explained it to me. I mean, it made sense. I mean, we just went through a $69 million building project, so anytime you add square footage and HVAC and change site work, that especially the civil engineering and the site work, that really elevates the price. I mean, you guys remember from when we added the parking lot at the high school, which is now the bus entrance and the staff parking next to the stadium. You know, that alone, I think, was around $500,000. It was co-funded as part of the project, but parking is very expensive to add, and it's because of the drainage and the upgrading and everything. Any other feedback, comments? So again, understand that this is not a done deal. We're going to have input from all of you throughout the entire process. The next step is civil engineers will visit the site with our architect, Tim Rusick, and they will look at the site. They'll begin developing some schematic design plans. So we're going to have a little more than boxes this next round. So they'll work on that, and we'll have some site plans, and we'll have some architectural plans, and we'll start putting some more details into the spaces. So then we'll get feedback from all of you. That's where you'll say yay, nay, or what about this? Can you move this here like that? And the process will progress. And then once we hit the DD phase, the design development, that's where we're really finalizing things, and the input's going to slow down because we're really stamping the approval there, and then you go to your construction document, and that's when we blaze forward. As you guys recall, that's probably about a 4 to 6 month process. So and that's going to give us time to finish out the building project. We'll know exactly how many dollars are left in that. And then it gives us a chance for our PI funds, the PI that was renewed last year. That'll give that money a chance that pot to build, and we'll know how much we have there. And as I told you guys before, when we gave you permission to move forward, it's my belief and CJ's belief that the funds will be there, and it's not going to compromise not continuing to purchase the items we need, like buses, making improvements in technology, different things like that. They can all fit into the budget. Questions, comments? Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Dalbaugh. Moving on to our treasurer's report.
So besides the financial reports under the consent agenda, I'd like to share some news with you. We received a letter from the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. And I don't want to read the whole letter to you, but I'd like to at least read a piece of it to you. The Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting has been awarded to Streetsboro City School District by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada for its comprehensive annual financial report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. So that's the first paragraph of this letter that they sent us. Something to be proud of for the treasurer's office. I'm very excited about it. This couldn't be done without the entire staff there, and including Kathy Rouse was part of this as well. So I wanted to share that piece of information with you. We got a commemorative piece to hang on a plaque that we already have. And we also received some certificates and things like that. And I'd be happy to pass this around to you if you'd like to take a look at it, read it, and all of that good stuff.
If there's a certificate, could you scan that and send that to me, please?
Absolutely.
On the website.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, it's just the 2017, the year, because we have a plaque already that we can hang those on. So it's a great achievement for the school district, the community, and all parties. That's good. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Congratulations to the treasurers.
Nice job, CJ.
Nice to see that success continuing. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the only way to do it, so. And that would conclude my report for this evening.
Wow, that's a quick one.
Sorry.
Okay, moving on to board reports. Thank you, CJ, and congratulations on your first meeting as our treasurer too.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Board reports, Ms. Beth.
Okay, I just want to remind everyone that the PTA tailgate will be August 31st, and be there at the high school. And I also have, I think, a brief legislative update. Last Friday, Governor Kasich signed into law several pieces of legislation that you should probably be aware of. House Bill 87 will require the Ohio Department of Education to credit funds returned to the state because of an audit of a community school enrollment records. They will have to be returned to the school district from which the funds were originally deducted. And House Bill 318 addresses the qualifications and duties of school resource officers. Prior to reporting the legislation, the Senate Education Committee incorporated provisions from the Senate Bill 264, which requires districts to implement positive behavioral interventions and supports framework for social and emotional learning initiatives into any building servicing any grades, kindergarten through 3. And beginning in the 2021-22 school year, the new law also prohibits out-of-school suspensions and expulsions in grades K through 3, except for offenses that threaten the health and safety of others. In the meantime, districts are required to reduce out-of-school suspensions and expulsions that result from minor offenses. Senate Bill 216, the Public School Deregulation Act, addresses a variety of issues ranging from the Ohio teacher evaluation system to teacher licensure. 2 important changes were made to the bill before it left the House of Representatives for concurrence in the Senate. The first change, which occurred in the House Education and Career Readiness Committee, removed a provision that would have required students participating in the College Credit Plus program pay 50% of the cost of textbooks for their college courses if their family income is more than twice the federal poverty level. The second change, which occurred on the House floor prior to passage, removed a provision that would have excluded excused absences from the number of absences triggering a notice to parents. As a result, there is no change in this requirement enacted by the last General Assembly through House Bill 410. And as you know, textbook costs are a big deal for districts for the College Credit Plus. And finally, House Bill 312 addresses the use of credit cards by school districts among other entities and establishes a prohibition on the use of debit cards except for the receipt of grant money. Each Board of Education must adopt a policy regarding the use of a credit card, which must occur either prior to opening an account or for districts that already have an account within 3 months of the bill's effective date. Among other items, the policy must identify the positions authorized to use the card, the permitted types of expenses, and the credit card account's maximum credit limit or limits. So those are some things I think are pertinent information for us as board members to be aware of. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So, Denise, I just want to tell you that the legislation now regarding SROs, scores, actually Chief Powers and I had about an hour and a half meeting today on that, and so we're already working on that. Yeah. And we've addressed some of those, quite a few of those with the administrative team. All right, but I appreciate that update. And we do have an up-to-date credit card policy that was adopted in August of last year. So it's been about a year. But that one reminder will, whenever a House bill passes, they actually send us the updates to our policy. But we do actually have that credit card policy. It's policy 8.11.
We also have the PBIS
yes,
program in place.
We do.
In all buildings, right?
Yep. Correct. Yep.
And so this update came from OSBA, and if you have an opportunity, I encourage you to log onto the OSBA website and check some of their legislative updates. They do a really good, their lobbyists are at the State House virtually every day talking to legislators, and they are up to date on everything that's happening regarding education, like up to the minute. They're so knowledgeable, and they have a lot of that information on their website.
And I get an email from them a couple times a week with all the legislative updates, and it's what I like about it. It's very easy to read and understand. They take all the gobbledygook out of it and it's pertinent information.
And as another note, I just say, if you get a email from them asking for with an alert saying call your state rep or senator, it's a really good idea to follow through on that, because they say it does make a difference down in the House, whether it comes through to the superintendent or the school board members. When they say urgent action is needed, it really is, and it does make a difference. They say that again and again. It does make a difference when we as board members call down and talk to legislators.
Has SBA done anything like an SBA does with the, there's a link that they send out a message and you can just click on it and add your name and it sends it to your.
No, but you know what? I've actually done that through NSBA, and I'll mention that.
NSBA, I mean, they make it really easy, because the email comes to you and then you click on the link and then you just add your, I think.
Your just name in your school district, and it comes.
And it goes right to the
legislator as a letter.
Yeah.
And I've gotten like feedback from the
I've gotten
senators.
emails
From
also.
Sherrod Brown. I'm like, why is it? I'm like, oh, I must have sent them something. So
that'd be kind of cool to get something like that.
That's a good
going.
idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Baba. Mr. Gibson.
The levy committee is planning on meeting Tuesday night at the library. They're supposed to get the room reserved, and we'll be meeting over there, I think 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They'll be putting it out on their Facebook page. So if anyone's interested in coming on over
Tuesday night,
this coming Tuesday time. It was 6 or 7. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock to get it done. I thought it closed.
They're closed.
6 o'clock on Tuesday. So over at the library here.
Okay, thanks.
I'll see if we can can't get that going.
So Tuesday the 14th?
6 o'clock. Yes.
I will, I'm working on a fact sheet for the levy. So I will try and have a draft version of that fact sheet ready for you guys by Tuesday so that you guys can look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Moving on to Mr. Grimm.
The high school band has been practicing all week, 8 to 5. They'll finish up tomorrow, and then next week they have 4 days of half-day practices. Next Friday, the high school band will travel to Cedar Point for a performance, and then they'll spend the rest of the day in the park before school starts. So they're finishing up, getting ready for marching season. The only thing from the city is Route 303, where it's by the railroad track, still closed completely. They've had a slight delay, but the last message from the mayor was they hope to have that completed by next week, well in time before school opens.
Looks like they stopped working on
I know where the bowl is. They stopped because there was a settling period, and there's all kinds of magic going on over there. They made it from a dip to a hump, and it's crazy, but.
And I have a question about, like, right there on Frost Road by my development. Do you think that'll affect buses in the morning? Because the traffic is really backed up from 14, backed up Frost Road past like the entrance to my development. And you can wait. I mean, hopefully if somebody saw a bus that they would put a gap in it, but the traffic tends to be really heavy over there now. And also at the top of 43 and Frost.
Right, I know those projects are wrapping up. I'm not sure if there's a time frame.
They've got a while to go.
Okay.
14 was a mess the other day when I got on it, heading towards Cleveland. When you get over that little hump, I mean, traffic just came to a stop in their right-hand lane.
Good news though,
Because
today,
they're getting off at Frost Road.
yeah. Good news today at Frost, they finally are putting in the berms that are that go up to, I guess, up to 480. They're finally putting in. They had it all dug out to the sides, and they're finally putting in the berms today. So that maybe means they're close.
Yeah, well, I just noticed our buses seem to be like on the dot, unless there's inclement weather or something, they're on the dot, and I didn't know how much that would slow up trying to get out of the development, out of Green Tree, or if there are buses that have to go over the 14 bridge and the traffic is backed up, if that would impact them enough that they would be late.
Sure. If we get an update on that project, I'll forward it out to everybody, especially to Brandy, so that she has that as well. That'd be helpful, but they're definitely getting progress. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Kelly.
Just a couple things regarding athletics. Participation numbers are up in all the sports. That's good to see. Currently, some examples. Currently, football has 55 players, and we had to add a freshman volleyball team and a JV girls soccer team. So that was some pretty good things there. And then our first all-sport OHSAA parent and student athlete meeting will be held on Thursday, August 16th at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium.
It's nice to see the soccer numbers coming back up there.
I was up at the track running, and there was a lot of soccer players.
Coach Paul is excited about this year for boys. The girls are always doing well. So.
Oh yeah, it was good to see that.
Good.
Just got an update from the police department. There's a crash in Ravenna Township. State Route 14 is now closed for about 4 hours tonight. State Route 14 closed at Route 303 East for approximately 4 hours. So I'm guessing that's probably 14-year diagonal.
It's closed at, the accident was at Dolly Road.
Dolly Road. So go down 303 to 44 and head north to 14. That may be a way. Just go out here, hang a right, and go down to the.
So where's the crash?
It's at Dolly Road, so you can either turn on Route 44 or.
So if I go down and take the old detour through Shalersville?
Yeah.
And then come back by, come out by the sheets?
In your office.
Here, just use the cut.
More safe than
Yeah.
you, but
I'll talk to you afterwards. That's a directional challenge.
Or else there's gonna be some nice hotels and trees.
That's been in the box now. You never know what that goes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Grimm for the update, and moving on to,
I just want to say one more thing.
yes.
I know it's old news, but I just love that final forms. And even though I only have one child, it is
Great.
awesome. And you get an email reminders that, so working out very well. Thank you.
That nice, I had to do it all for 3 of them every single year, every form, and rubbing it in.
It's
Took me
Thanks a
like
lot.
a half an hour to do. Great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to my reports. Maplewood notes, meeting notes from last month's meeting were sent to everybody. They are very excited about doing the concession stands for the ball fields. So we got that to look forward to this year. And I have one update for PASS, or PPSS, and it's the ice cream social. Just wanted to mention that August 19th, the annual Back to School Ice Cream Social will be held from 2 to 4 at the old SMS practice field.
Right across from the board.
Right across the street from here, right across from the board office, from 2 to 4. Make sure that you tell everyone that over there, it's a good time for the kids. Good time for the adults to catch up on things from the summer. So just want to mention that.
We're gonna make a concerted push to get as many folks there this year.
It's usually a pretty good turnout, so it's a fun time. Okay, so that is it for the board reports. Moving on to the consent agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items B through L.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a first and a second.
Mr. Violi, I'd like to have item L pulled off for individual consideration, please.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
So it will be items B through L,
Okay.
B through K. Please call the roll.
I have a question first.
Yes.
On item G, that's the bus tractors, right? It was reading through there. Yes, I'm there. That's
Yeah, the maintenance tracking, trip checking, and also ultimately one of the other features is the link for parents to be able to see where the bus is.
was that coming with the tablets that are on the buses? Because I was reading that, it didn't seem like they were included in the cost.
So it is.
Those hardware accessories. Okay.
Who is that? That's just a separate company itself, so it's here.
That's the name of the company, and that's the devices will hook into the data system, and the data system for each bus. There'll be barcodes that will be put inside all the engine compartments, so the drivers will do all the trip inspections with a scanner. And then any type of maintenance reporting and logs, any type of error codes will all be electronic, and we'll begin tracking all of our maintenance on our buses, all of our error codes on our buses. Mechanics will know instantly if there's a bus out on the road that throws an error code, and the driver may not even know it.
I looked at the website last week and talking about it. I didn't remember how you guys came across it, that's all.
Brandy found it, totally Brandy.
That's right.
She actually, there were 3 different companies that she looked at, and when we looked at what Samsara was offering for the price, and it was even more comprehensive than.
So this is what you talked about during your presentation.
Yes, this is her presentation. And so it's actually, we're blazing forward with it.
Is that gonna be up and running when we start?
Yep.
Any other comments? Just make mention of the donations. Thank you for everyone that's mentioned in the donation tonight. Please call a roll.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Pioli?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Motion carried. And moving on to item L. Is that right?
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the hiring of the following contingent upon all certification licensure requirements being met.
Move.
Second.
First and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Pioli?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Abstain.
Motion carried. Moving on to superintendent's recommendations.
I do not have any at this time.
In 12 years, I don't think I've ever went to work and you were the superintendent.
Treasurer's recommendations.
Not at this time.
You're keeping up with the pace here. Can't get out of one, right? And moving on to new business. I do have something I'd like to bring up. And it is about the building across the street that will no longer be the actual middle school, but it still has the name on it that says middle school. I'd like to entertain possibly either pulling that sign off of the building or renaming the building to be like the Streetsboro Annex School Annex Building, whatever you want to call it. But I'd like to throw that out there. And the reason I ask that is because there's other organizations that use these buildings for different things, and it could possibly cause some confusion. If somebody wants to go to the middle school gym or book the middle school gym for an event, which middle school gym do you book? So I'd just like to throw that out there if anybody has any comments on it.
Good idea.
Does that require board action or can you just do that as superintendent?
What I would probably, I'm going to go ahead and remove, I'm going to have Dave Clark remove the letters, take them down immediately. I would probably suggest that we talk about it. We can do it now. I don't know that we're all prepared to do it now, but we can do it under superintendent's report next meeting. Between now and then, we can maybe entertain some ideas on what you want to call it. But I think we would want to have some board action on it. I would make a recommendation to you through under superintendent's recommendation and have you vote on it. But I think that I would want your feedback. The primary use for that building is going to be staff development. We have an administrative room already identified there. We're going to hold our administrative meetings. Anytime we have district staff development, that's always been a challenge, trying to find a place to hold it. We're going to identify a room or two over there. It's also going to be home to our wrestling program. We're doing some modifications to the locker rooms for the wrestling program. There's 2 areas that they'll probably use yet to be identified. We're going to involve them in those decisions. It's going to also be home to baseball and softball. They have their hitting cages over there for work, off-season work. And we are currently working with the city about the possibility of putting some city programs there as well. So I think it is appropriate. Brian, I think it's a great idea that we at least remove the name for now, and we need to probably come up with a name that will match what we're gonna use it for the next several years.
So would you like us to send you suggestions then?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, and then
I like your idea of annex. Streetsboro schools
and
annex.
then it gives you, then you can, it doesn't name it for a specific
Yeah.
thing.
When it becomes a school again, we can always give it a school name.
Right. Because it probably will become a school again.
I would anticipate so, yes. Okay, so I will communicate with Dave Clark and Randy to take the middle school part of it down. I may just have to move the letter Streetsboro up for now until we decide what we're gonna do. And then you guys will provide me some feedback.
See if you can take some of the letters and come up with a name with the rest of the
Yeah.
letters that you chose.
Or just an acronym.
Or jumble it,
School word jumble.
Get on that, Mr.
Should be easy.
Is there a program for that? It's like a
Oh, yeah.
or something?
Yeah, you just throw in, it'll show you all the possible companies.
Yeah.
And here's another question, is the address for this building is it on Google and everything as the address for the new middle school already?
Yeah, I updated that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I don't really Google this.
that's okay. But it is interesting because you have DEFRA that's 1895 Anna Lane. This is now 1900, and that one used to be like 1905 or something. So people do ask. We do have, that for sports and things. So we're going to name it something temporarily because that concern has already come up. Like if I'm booking the gym in the middle school, which middle school? So the sooner we have a good name, because we do have some systems that we would like to plug that into. All right.
I know that's for the Streetsboro schools annex, I think it's a general enough.
There's no A's in order. There's no A's, X's.
Okay.
No letters are on.
I've already suggested the John Kelly building.
I was gonna suggest something letters different,
I mean, I'll pay for the letters, it's okay, it's no problem.
Probably international,
Yeah.
something or other.
Also fun. Just a thought.
Give me a strategic goal.
There's always the tech house.
Yeah. Right, too.
I just emailed our maintenance director and told him we need to talk tomorrow about that.
Good suggestion.
Thank you. You said you had something?
Yeah, assuming it's the right spot to bring up. The repairs we had to do at the high school for the drainage issue. They kind of got played down and it didn't sit well with me. The building's not 2 years old and it's already got problems. And I understand it's a tricky site, but we paid a lot of money. Those guys professionally build buildings, and here we are a year and a half in, 2 years in, and we've got problems. And I guess I had a question first would be where did the money for those repairs come out of?
As I mentioned in prior meetings, we are under budget, so we have money in the budget to adequately put drainage systems in the areas that we're leaking.
That just came out of the overall building project.
Correct, yes.
And we've had.
It's, I mean, that's all they do. That's literally what they do for a living, is build buildings. And it seems kind of.
Could you just refresh our memory as to what happened and why it happened?
So we had an exceptionally wet spring, as all of you know, and what happened was on 2 occasions we had some wet carpet in the auditorium. The auditorium is actually the lowest part of the building, and the only other part of the building that is at the same depth is the sump pump in the elevator shaft. There's actually a sump pump, and that actually did not have any water in it. So the solution, we had several engineers come in, we had 3 different engineering folks come in, and the solution was to install a drainage system along the bottom of the stage where the water was intruding and tie it into our sewer system. So what they did was that when they went in and they started cutting out that cement, what they discovered is that indeed the water table is not elevated. This was an anomaly, but we don't want it to happen again. We don't want it to happen 5 years from now. So when they did the demolition, there is all buildings, before you lay concrete, you put down gravel, and then there's a felt layer, and then they pour cement on top of the felt, and then they cut the breaks in the cement to prevent cracking. So what happened was, because it was so rainy and we had so much water, around the site, I mean, everyone had water. What happened was that felt became saturated, and so it held that water, and with the pressure from the groundwater that felt being saturated, what happened was is it leached up through the joints.
Expansion joint.
Expansion, that's the
It's
word.
actually a belt expansion joint, and
Correct.
it acted as a wick,
Correct.
and it whipped that water up to the carpet, and then the carpet got wet. I don't know that if you had cement there, you probably wouldn't have experienced like puddles there. It would have been wet.
It was just wet. It wasn't puddles.
You know, and I did go up and look at it, and I'm gonna just speak from my own experience. My basement had the same issue this year, and I've been in that house for 20 years. The drain tiles filled up and it wicked around the outside of the basement. I mean, I was like shocked because I went in there and saw it all dug up and saw what they were doing, and the plumber showed me where they were going to drain it to. And the place that was lower than that, over where the drain was, didn't even seem to be wet.
No, which proves the point that it wasn't necessarily a water table issue.
Yeah.
It was groundwater. It was groundwater from an extremely wet. Just for a quick review, prior to construction, it's required by a building department. It's required with us, the OFCC. They do bores. You got to test the site. So we had a bore on the site. So the bore reports didn't show any anomalies with the water table. Throughout construction, we had 0 issues with water, 0. So that data, along with the bore reports, proves then what we found when we dug it up is that we don't have a water issue. This was an anomaly. But what we didn't want to happen is, okay, so it's an anomaly, so we could have left it alone. But what we didn't want to have happen 3, 4, 5 years around, we get the same spring that we had again, and we have wet carpet again in the auditorium. You know, we spent a lot of money on that auditorium. Also, when they build industrial buildings, they do not put footer drains in. That is what they do with homes and residential. Industrial buildings, schools, hospitals, unless there's a water issue during the bore, or it's significantly below grade. This is a slab with a little bit, this was 3 feet below grade with a slab. So that's why that happened.
And I'm not going to give my stamp of approval what I believe that some of the other people did. Even the plumber said that what they're doing or what they did will take care of any issue that you might ever have in the future. You know?
And I would say that the plan that was implemented and ultimately executed was probably more than we needed to do, because we actually did not put a felt barrier back. We put a material that does not wick water as a preventative measure. But the work that they did was extremely, I was pleased with it. I'm certainly not an engineer, but they walked me through everything they did. I talked to as many people I could. A lot of times when you talk to the guy that's digging the hole, that's not necessarily part of the plans, and they'll give you their opinion. And I did that a couple times, and the consent, and a lot of times those guys will tell you.
It's unfortunate that it happened.
It was,
You know,
but
it could happen 20 years from now too. And it's, you know,
Having lived across the field for a long time, it was always a wet field. It was always a nasty, muddy mess over there. And just, I mean, it got me bothered that we had this brand new school. It's already leaking. But I mean, if it's just it is what it is.
there's a lot of people that feel the same way that you do about being bothered that it happened.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
They're all, I think, in the same boat there.
Just wanted to get out and discuss it for a second.
I guess I could have mentioned this at the, on the board reports, but just want to mention that next week we have our board tour. Yep. That will be the last week for summer dress code, and we'll be in more formal attire for the following regular meeting. So just want to mention that as well.
I just want to raise it up that I will not be present for that, because I will be at the NSBA Central Region Leadership Meeting in Chicago from that Thursday through Sunday, so I won't be at the ice cream social either.
Okay. So next week you won't be there.
No, I won't be at the walkthrough next week.
I'll eat your ice cream for you, please.
Okay.
I'll take pictures of the walkthrough and send them to you. Okay. Moving on, any old business to discuss? Hearing none. Board President's recommendations. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the appointment of Denise Baba as delegate and Brian Violi as alternate delegate to the 2018 annual business meeting of the Ohio School Board Association Capital Conference in Columbus, Ohio.
I'll move.
I'll second. We have a first and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson? Yes. Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried. And item B,
Mr. President, for executive session, I would like you to add to your statement to confer with an attorney over pending legal action. So do that first.
It is recommended the Board of Education enter into executive session to confer with an attorney over a pending legal action. And executive session relative to security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or public office with possible action to follow.
I'll move. Second.
First and second, please call the roll.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes. Motion carried. We're in executive session at 7:16.